divorce brings with it challenges for both the spouses and the kids. And there's actually a lot of attention paid to children, but this is an area where it's probably not as much, and that is dealing with cluster B personality types and the effect that they have on their children who might be savable. And so today I have with me Gary Klein, a licensed clinical social worker, and he has spoken to us before on the cluster B problems, and especially how they can relate to your divorce. So today we're going to talk about how you can help counteract the manipulation of children by your cluster B spouse or significant other. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So first of all, we can't give you a bag of tricks that works for everything. So what kind of people will this work for, and what are the situations where you need to take stronger medicine?
Okay, so first off I want to start with a disclaimer. This is for informational and educational purposes only. If there is a realistic potential for violence in your relationship or with your ex-spouse, this probably isn't for you. I would recommend that you get a therapist who's familiar with borderline, antisocial, histrionic, and narcissistic personality types, or the cluster Bs, as they're called, and probably a good attorney, because those can be really volatile situations.
Okay, so for people that are, for lack of a better term, just, well, assholes, but they're not violent, this is something that may be helpful for those kinds of parents.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, so describe, and for people that are living this, you're going to think that Gary's known you all your life. So describe to us situations where kids are manipulated by cluster B personality types.
Okay. This is what I did. First off, I'm going to start off and just give you my opinion on what to do and what not to do. And then I'm going to tell you, I took notes, called this man who his ex-wife, someone named her Medusa. You'll find out why. And I'm going to just go through, I asked him, I said, tell me how you deal with your kids, because Medusa is always trying to throw wrenches in to his relationship with his children. So I thought, I'll just call him. I said, hey, tell me what works, what doesn't work, what do you suggest, what would you tell people if you were doing this video? And he said, oh, grab your pen and paper, here we go. All right, so first off, my opinion that it's not good to sling mud back to the kids about the other reptile parent, right? That puts the kids like on a ping pong table, and they just get whacked back and forth. It's really bad for the kids. Doesn't do anybody any good, although it can feel like it's gratifying at times.
Now, those who aren't familiar with why you call them reptile parents, you're not just being rude. Why do you use the term reptile parent?
Because they're about stimulus and response. Their brains are really primitive when it comes to emotions. So they don't say, oh, how might this affect the kid? The primitive part of their brain says, oh, I want to punish that SOB. Oh, boom. And they'll grab the kid and smash the kid against the parent to punish the parent, and have no concern at all that, oh, I just did that to my child.
So just like a crocodile would not distinguish between eating you or eating a toddler, they're just, all they see is food.
Yeah.
Because they don't have those higher brain functions, they wouldn't be able to distinguish. So that's why we call them the reptile parents.
Right. Okay. Also, it's not healthy for the mammal, the nice parent, just to sit there and take it. So when the kid says, Dad, Mom said this about you, and I don't want to put the kid on the ping pong table, so maybe I'm just not going to say anything. I think, in my opinion, and there are other therapists who I'm sure would disagree, I think that's the wrong thing to do, is just to take it, because then I look guilty. And then the reptile, the wedge that's being put between myself and my kids, gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the kid grows up resenting me because I look guilty.
So otherwise stated, sometimes if you don't defend yourself, the child's going to think, well, then it must be true.
It must be true.
Even if he's not inclined to believe it, it's
Right.
like Dad or Mom never defends him or herself, so I'm going to start to believe it. I'm not getting any other side of the story.
Right.
You're not being defensive. You're
Right.
simply making sure that there's facts to counterbalance the lies being told about you.
Yeah, exactly. I just had a client yesterday, a family, and I was explaining to the kids how it's not nice for Mom and Dad to put you in this position, and if Mom doesn't defend herself, she looks like she's not a very nice mom. And this little boy, he said, yeah, my sister thinks Mom did this stuff because she doesn't defend herself. And so to not say anything, in my opinion, is the wrong thing to do. Okay, so Medusa, I just want to give you a couple of examples so you'll know what I'm talking about. And also, if you got to this YouTube site, you probably already know what I'm talking about. All right, so Medusa, she turned her kids against their father so much that it was so miserable for him to be around them, he wouldn't be around them anymore. And then she would tell the kids that their father hated them, the father had moved on and remarried, and the new wife had some children, and so Medusa would say, your dad loves those kids more than he loves you. All right, so the dad would go pick up his kids for the weekend, and the kids would get in the car, and the abuse would start. And before, he would try to argue or be polite or yell at them, and it was just more chaos. And with the reptiles, the cluster bees, they want chaos. They thrive on chaos. So finally, what the dad would do is he would give them one warning and say, kids, you have to be polite, you have to be respectful, or I'm taking you back home. And of course, the kids are going to test, so they would heap on the abuse even more. And so he'd say, fine. He'd turn around and say, get out. And they were shocked. Out. You guys can come back when you're ready to be polite. So then what Medusa did is that she sent this guy a bill and said, I want you to pay for the cost of feeding the kids for the weekend because it was your weekend.
You sent them back.
Because you sent them back. And I want you to pay for a babysitter because I want to go play for the weekend and now I can't. What's really smart about this, first off, he gave a warning. That's really important. Let people know in advance what you're going to do or what you're not going to do. And then who really owns the problem? It wasn't this guy's problem. It was Medusa's problem because she kept stirring the pot. And so he put the problem back to her. And then down the road, not a tremendous amount, but enough to be noticed is the kids started to tone it down because she didn't want that kind of a repeat performance. All right, so this is what this man told me when I said, if you were doing the video, what would you say? And he said, first off, you have to get tough. You just do. And this rubs a lot of people the wrong way because they say, wait a minute, I'm really a nice person. I don't want to have to be mean and all of that. And you don't have to be mean, but you have to get tough or you're going to get clobbered.
You have to be firm. You have to just say, I know that it's going to get worse before it gets better. Or I've got to break a few eggs to make the omelet.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I'm not doing this to be difficult. I've got to go through that process before things are going to get better and improve.
And if you don't do that, it will get worse.
It will get worse.
Guaranteed. All right. Another thing he said is that you have to accept and get used to the notion that you're in a no-win situation. I have a friend who lives in town, Walt Bayless, amazing guy, artist, author. He's also a martial artist. And one time we were talking, and he said that you're going to get hit. If you're going to fight, you're going to get hit. And if you're terrified of getting hit, then don't fight. But once you accept that and say, yeah, I'm going to get hit and it's going to hurt, now what's my strategy? You're in a much stronger position.
Well, when you say no win, I mean, well, then why bother defending myself? I mean, that seems a little contradictory. If it's a no-win situation, then what? I'm just trying to keep it even. I don't want to lose, but I just have to keep from.
Okay, that's a good point. It's a no-win for the parent because the parent's going to look like the dirty, rotten SOB. The goal is to protect the kids as much as possible.
I see. So you may not win as the parent,
right,
but you can protect your kids from being harmed and turning into that cluster B parent or something like it or something worse.
Right.
So you may be the living martyr.
That's right.
But at least you can go to sleep at night knowing that your kids are not being made worse by your inaction. Would that be that?
Yes.
Okay.
And once you go, okay,
it's
great.
not very comforting, but it's honest. That's the thing.
It's honest, and it's also liberating, because if you're willing to sit there and take that stuff, but still do right by your kids, then you've got freedom. Then you're not afraid of getting clobbered. You say, well, okay, whatever. Now, what can I do for my kids?
And you're not straddling that fence anymore.
Right.
That's true.
Right. Let's see. All right, so what this man said is that the reptiles' abuse, it's going to increase, most likely, it did in his case anyway, after the divorce. Because once the spotlight was off Medusa, and she wants the spotlight, she has to have the spotlight to create the chaos, there was no more spotlight. So then she amped up the abuse to get the spotlight back on so she could have more chaos and be in control. Let's see. All right, so when that happens, the reptile, and the reptiles are parasitic. They have to have a host, someone to suck the life force out of, suck their soul out of, or their bank account. And so he said that if you're ignoring them, that's when they're going to start to use the kids. So that's called triangulation. If I can't get you involved in some kind of a confrontation, I may go to someone else.
So another reason why you need to stay engaged. Again, you're not going to win, but you're taking the attention of the reptile off the kids.
Right, right. All right, let's see. So as the mammal gets stronger and doesn't bite the hook anymore, and the hooks are, your dad said this, or your dad's not going to, and then when the dad stands up and says, oh, no, no, and then tries to justify himself, or it could be the wife, it could be the mother. Once the mammal quits biting the hook, the mammal starts to get stronger and stronger and says, oh, I don't have to play that game anymore. All right, so then the reptile will amp it up even more to try to get the person to bite the hook. All right, not taking it, not just sitting there and taking it. You can document what was said by the reptile, and you ask the kids something like this. What this guy would do is he would say, well, boy, what do you think? When the kid would say, Mom said this. Say, well, I don't know, what do you think? And then he would say, boy, I don't remember it that way at all. I wonder why he or she said that. So document what was being said, what was discussed, and then I really like this last part. He said, I wonder why he or she would say that. He didn't say, why do you think Mom said that? That's triangulating the kid, and there goes the ping pong game. And what this guy talked about a lot was just planting seeds, just little seeds of doubt without playing the game. All right, so he said watch for emotional hooks and that fine line of not using the kids for ping pong and not engaging, but also standing up and defending yourself so the kid doesn't get the wrong idea. Let's see. He said make sure that the reality checks come from the kids and not the mammal parent. Well, boy, I don't know why.
That would be one of those, I wonder why that would happen.
Right.
Letting them be the ones that think of it as opposed to just trying to dictate to the kids.
Right.
And let me set you straight, which is something that it's human nature to do. I know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just tell you what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even need to try to process it, but they need to process it or they're never going to wake up to what they'll never notice.
Right. They won't own it, they won't incorporate it. And then also by planting seeds in this manner, hopefully the child will be able to learn from that. And next time Medusa would say something that was nutty, the kid can go, I wonder why Mom would say that, because that's not the way I remember
I've been
it.
warned before that seemed inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
I was told that wasn't Dad's or Mom's recollection of what Medusa's doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? This doesn't wash.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start to make their own minds up, and that's
Right.
where you've won.
And that's where you've won. Right, that's where you've won. Right. All right, another thing he said is that you may not have a healthy relationship with your kids until the kids are out of the house, away from the reptile parent. He said that was really, really hard to accept, but once he did, he got stronger and said, well, if that's the case, I need to plant more seeds. I need to do more things so that if we do have a close relationship down the road, it will be an easy transition.
Yeah, ready to welcome them back with open arms when they come back.
Right, right. Let's see. All right, and then as the kids gain independence, the reptiles usually become less and less interested. And I see this all the time. One of two things will happen. The reptile parent will try to punish or emotionally bludgeon the kid into submission. And if that doesn't work, then boom, excommunication.
So there is some justice in the world, because eventually, even the reptile is not indefatigable.
Right.
The reptile can't keep it up forever, and when the low-hanging fruit, I mean, I don't want to overstate it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even like you say, at some point the reptile will look for easier pickings.
Yes. The reptiles, they can keep it up, but they can't keep getting the same results, which I think is what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. They can't get the same results because the kid grows up and gets more independent and can think more clearly and say, nah, yeah, I don't think so. let's see.
Yeah, they don't change.
Right.
It's just that they don't have the same effect.
Right, right. All right, again, this man talked about documenting. And one of the things he would say to his kids, he'd say, well, it sounds like someone taught you to say that. Who told you that? All right. Again, you're documenting and then putting it back on the kid. What you don't want to do is justify
And it's not as though the children would like, oh, they go, I can't believe you caught me.
Right.
They'd vehemently deny it, but
Right.
again, they know that dad or mom has caught on.
Right. And then
That starts the process.
starts the process, and then if the kid goes, I don't know, then you don't pursue it. What you're doing is setting a boundary, saying, I don't want to hear that stuff. You know, you can
It's not
listen.
working.
It's not working. It's not working. And then what he would say is he would say, "Oh, sweetie, it doesn't work that way. You know, this is what the judge said, and this is what we do with visitation, and on and on and on." And so he would use a higher power, which is the judge, that takes him out of the role of the bad guy.
And you're creating some confusion in the child's mind, but that's a good thing, because what you don't want to do is, like you say, you're not defending yourself, you're simply saying, not that cut and dried.
Mhm.
There is another side to this story. I don't care if you believe it, as long as you know that there are two sides, or
Right.
three sides.
Mhm.
Because then, at some point, that child's, something's going to, with luck, something's going to flip in that child's brain and go, "Oh, I'm 19.
Mhm.
It all makes sense."
Right.
Kind of like watching the end of The Sixth Sense when he's like, all the clues were there.
Right, right.
But I was so convinced the guy was alive that I didn't notice he was dead. But if I went now, when I go back and see it all, it's like, yeah, some of those things didn't make any sense. He wasn't really talking, or he couldn't open the door, whatever it is. They will say, wait a minute, the story I've been told, I was warned, I was given a hint that it may not be how it all seemed from the parent who was manipulating me, and now I can make up my own mind. And that's how you're laying that foundation.
Absolutely, and I really like it. That'd be a great movie title, The Reptile Sixth Sense, because the clues, they are there, we just don't recognize them.
Well, and then the children's own love and respect for the parent blinds them to it,
Mhm.
because they can't believe, they won't believe that they're being manipulated. Nobody goes around believing they're manipulated.
Right, right. And the younger the kids are, they can't believe that, because mommy and daddy have to be gods in order for the
Yeah.
kid to feel safe.
Yeah.
So there can't be anything wrong with them. Let's see. Also, he said, he recommended, don't be long-suffering. Don't be so much of the good guy or the good woman where, oh, no, I'll just take the abuse. No, I'll just take it. I'll just take it. Because to the reptile, that's just like, ooh, dinner served. Here we go.
How about this? How about trying to get your kids to pity you?
No.
It's not a good idea either.
No,
I don't think it is, but I was just...
That's going to backfire.
But the same thing. So not only could you just take it, but you might actually even try to take that a step farther and say, actually, I'm the one who really... I mean, then all your kids are going to do is see you as weak and pathetic.
A weak, and you're taking the victim stance, right?
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's a very good point. Yet don't do that. You need to come across as strong. If you can get to a place of neutral, easier said than done.
Yeah, because it is also easy to feel like a victim because you are being victimized, and giving in to that is going to give the children the wrong impression. It's not going to make them pity you.
Right. And then, especially the younger kids, they go, ooh, let's see, dad's really weak, mom's really strong. If I'm going to be safe, I need to be with the strong person, and oftentimes they will tend to side toward the stronger parent. The family that I saw yesterday,
Mhm.
the great example, the father wasn't very nice. He's just not a nice guy, and the kids don't want to spend time with him. So recently the kids did go spend time, and the little girl had said, he's mean, he'll slap me on the arm, he does all this, and all of a sudden, she's daddy's biggest supporter now. And I said, wow, that's not what you said last time. Can you help me understand that? And she said, well, I tell lies about daddy, and then when he finds out about it, he gets really mad at me. I said, oh, okay. So then I talked to her mother afterward, and I said, her psyche is saying, dad's scarier than you are, and if she sides with dad, she'll be safer.
Yeah, fascinating.
Okay, let's see. This is a great one. Medusa's spectacular at this. She'll tell the kids, your dad has to buy you anything you want. Now, he's given her a boatload of money over the years, a large boat. she can buy anything she wants for the kids. But then the kids show up and say, Mom said you have to buy me this, and I'm not talking about, tiddlywinks. It's like an iPad.
Or food or shelter.
Or food. Right. And then what she did is then she said, well, if your dad loved you, he would buy this stuff for you. Obviously, he doesn't love you. So he looks like the jerk again.
By the way, how does Mom get away with saying, I can't buy it for you? So what happens there with Mom, Mom, can I have a new PS4? No. How does Mom get the kids to approach the other, how does Mom or Dad get the kids to go to Dad? Because why, at first there's going to be, well, you get it for me because I'm with you. So how do you set that up?
Okay, you set that up. This is how to be a good reptile.
Yeah.
When the kids are really young, and you scare the heck out of them randomly for no apparent reason, so they never know when they're going to get clobbered, and so they're always afraid. And oh my gosh, I asked for a cupcake and got screamed at or slapped in the face. I'm not going to ask for an iPad. Also, the parent who comes across as the nicer parent is the safer parent, and it's easier to go hammer on the nice guy because they're not going to get slapped in the face.
But how does Mom tell them go to Dad? Why wouldn't it? So I understand they may be afraid to ask, but eventually they have. Who plants the idea, or do the kids get that by themselves?
Not in this case.
Yeah. So how's she doing it?
She just says, no, that money that your father gives me, that barely covers anything at all.
So that's what. Even though that's not true.
Even though.
Okay.
Right. She sent this man a text he forwarded to me recently, and she said $1,350 a month won't do anything. Okay, that was just for one kid.
One?
One kid.
Okay, that's a lot of money, by the way.
That's a lot of
for
money.
one child.
All right, let's see. All right, so this is what the father did, is he got out the documents and said, come here, Junior, let me show you how this works. This is what the judge said. So again, I'm not the bad guy. The judge said this, I have to obey the law. And he laid everything out.
How old is the child?
Well, kid's older now. He's not a teenager anymore. But this kid is a chip off the old block and was trained very well by Medusa. So he's exhibited these behaviors all over.
And at the time that he was showing his son this, how old was the child?
Thank you. I'm guessing maybe 13, 14, something like that.
Now, let's stop here for a moment, because Gary doesn't know what I'm about to say, but I'm sure he's going to understand it. You will hear from a lot of courts, don't talk to your kids about any aspect of the divorce or the child custody dispute. I respectfully disagree. Clearly, what I know the courts don't want you to do is manipulate the kids. But if you're being lied about by your significant other or your ex or the other parent, and you can show the children something that isn't going to sling mud, like it's like, well, let me show you why Mom has to take the drug tests. It's like, if you can show that, but I agree, and I believe, and not believe, I actually know, because I've spoken to and read articles from other mental health professionals that say, no, children are craving information. They obviously see something's gone wrong. They see their families crumbling. They know that things are changing. And then to tell them, well, just know that I love you, but I'm not going to answer any of your questions.
Right.
By the way, is there any value in, I could answer your question, you wouldn't say this, but they say, I could answer your question, but you know what, but I've been told I get in trouble with it. So, I just can't discuss that. Is there any value in that? I can think there might be, but to me it seems like you're better off doing what you're about to describe. So let me ask you that first question. What do you think ought to be done for children? Obviously you don't want to talk to children with no neural net,
Right.
but 12, 13 and up, what do you think is the right way to handle that when you're being lied about, or when you can see your kids are being manipulated and it's not you you're worried about,
Right.
it's them?
I think back when I was that age, and I didn't care where the truth was. I just wanted to know, is it here or here or here, and then I'll deal with it. And then when I was lied to, and found out later I was lied to, then there's an erosion of trust and resentment and all of that. So I'm a big fan of just saying, look, here's the reality, and then you're going to have to deal with it.
How about when you weren't lied to, you were just brushed off? Even though you may have felt that way, you weren't being brushed off. You were actually being told by you or the hypothetical. It's like, I'm doing what the court told me to do.
There might be a time for that, especially when the kids are younger. Say, oh, sweetie, we can talk about that a little bit later when you're a little bit older. And then say, but Mommy and Daddy love you.
So again, we're 12, 13, 14, stuff like that. When these children come to you saying, Mom says, you have to buy me this. Mom says you don't pay enough. Mom says you negotiated to pay less than what the Utah code says. And all of that's false, demonstrably false. You can point to it right in your decree. What do you do? Now again, every situation's unique, but generally speaking, what do you think?
I would say, really? Wow. And again, this has to be done more with question rather than, oh yeah, I'll show her. It's like, really? Wow, I don't remember that. Hang on just a minute. Well, look, it says right here that I'm supposed to pay, and I've paid everything, and then you document, and then it's like, wow, I just don't
And I see what you've done there.
That.
What you've done there is you've actually told the child, in the future, look what I did to answer the question. You didn't have to take my word against the others.
Right.
It's like, I wonder if there might be some way where you don't have to trust or believe one or the other. I wonder if there's a place we can go to get the answer. Oh, look, there is, and here are the answers. So next time, it's like, well, that's what the court said. Could I see it? What? Can I see it? You said the court ordered it, Mom or Dad, so let me see the order. And then it's like, oh, I can't show that to you.
Right.
Well, Dad did. Oh, that son of a... You know, but even then that, again, that's when the switch is like, wait a second. Dad didn't run out and say, see.
Right,
It was, I wonder if we can find the answers. I asked you for the same thing, and I got a bunch of, the emperor has clothes.
Right,
and if you don't believe me, what? Do you think I'm lying to you? It's like, actually, yeah, I do.
All right, and so that ties in very nicely with the no-win. Yeah, you're going to get slimed probably a bunch of times, but if you can stay calm, because what you're doing is you're trying to plant seeds that will sprout in the future.
And notice, we're not saying that the child goes, oh, Dad was right or Mom was right all along, and now I love Dad more. Sometimes the damage may be done, or sometimes they may not be in a place to get that far. But at least they're starting to get out of the orbit of the reptile.
Right, and you're planting those seeds of doubt, and hopefully as the child grows, we'll say, oh, this is one of Mom's stories again, or one of Dad's stories again. Oh, okay. And then the kid can say, that's not true, or just say, okay, yeah, that's another one of those stories, and not engage. All right, let's see. All right, so watch out for texting and telephone call triangulation. So here's a great example. This guy was taking his son, it was his birthday, later teen years. And Junior wanted to go to like the most expensive restaurant in town, and Dad said, no, we can go to this one or this one, take your pick. So Junior got on his phone and called Mom, or sent her a text. Anyway, so the mother and Junior are going back and forth, and the message from Medusa is, it's your birthday, your father never did anything for you, he owes this to you. And so boom, there's a big fight, and so the dad said, okay, you know what, this isn't working, I'm taking you home. And then of course, everyone gets emails, he won't even take his own son out for dinner
on his birthday.
On his birthday, right. And so this guy's just gotten to the point where he just says, yeah, she is disturbed, and that's just the way it is.
What about does any of this happen with the child who's like, well, I wanted to go to the most expensive restaurant in town, but now I didn't go anywhere. Maybe next time I'll keep my big yap shut, or I won't engage with Mom, or what?
It can go a bunch of different ways. It depends on the alliance between the kid and the mom. So if the kid's a mammal but terrified of Mom, then the kid probably is going to side with Mom.
I see that happening sometimes, where you can try to appeal to a child for the child's sake with something that child loves, but if they feel that there's going to be disloyalty, or they smell a rat that isn't there, it doesn't matter. They can their willpower can be surprisingly strong.
Right, because they're afraid, and so you're talking about, hey, if you do this, you'll get this, and they're saying, no. And you go, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
but if you look at the psychological level, and it's fear, they're terrified, and you go, oh, of course this makes sense. Let's see, almost done here. Another thing he said is, don't say your mom's a liar. Don't say your dad's a liar. he said you can, what he does is he'll say, oh, sweetie, you were given bad information. All right, I like that. It's documenting. It's not she's a lying, he's a lying. It's just you were given bad information. And then he would change the subject.
I think you could even say she gave you bad information, because it's, again, it's not, that's a lie. Lie is a pejorative term. It's like bad information means, oh, perhaps a lie, perhaps an innocent misrepresentation.
Mm-hmm.
But the point to remember is that the information is bad.
The-
Not so much
the
the source,
information is bad.
and I'm not making value judgments about the
Mhm.
source.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Firm boundaries, set firm boundaries, decide in advance what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, and then you have to stick to it. If you set a boundary and then the kids push and push, and you say, well, okay, I'll let you do it this time, you just positively reinforce their bad behavior, and they're going to do it again, and they'll push and push harder and harder, because they know if they push hard enough and long enough, eventually they'll get what they want. Another thing you can do is the broken record, either from the reptile spouse or when the kids are hammering on you, and you can say, oh, yeah, you were given bad information. Well, mom said or dad said, yeah, you were given bad information. And you can make a game out of it and say, okay, I bet I can say this 100 times in a row, and Junior won't last that long.
Why don't they tune the broken record out?
Because they're not getting their reward, which is chaos. If you just keep doing that.
So you're not trying to persuade them. You're
Mhm.
just trying to you're trying to defuse the situation.
Right.
And some people lose sight of that.
Right, trying to defuse it and to let them know, I'm not playing your game anymore, don't try it again.
Okay, we appreciate this, and we're starting to get into some deeper water with this sort of thing, but let's face it, once you've started to understand that this is a pathology, once you start to understand that you may actually not be to blame, oftentimes I know the court system likes to try to blame both parents, paint them both on the broad brush, say it takes two to tango. Oftentimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't, and you don't get any brownie points by taking blame that you don't deserve.
Right.
Your kids don't benefit from it. Before we go, if people want to refer to any other sources or would like to read more about it, what would you recommend?
Let's see, if you haven't watched the other videos that we've done, please feel free to do so. Also, there's tons of information, a lot of it's really good information on YouTube, books, public libraries. I stumbled across Richard Grannon, Spartan Life Coach. Check him out on YouTube. I really like his stuff. He's got a real street fighting style and doesn't pull any punches at all. He's got tons of information. Also, the Love and Logic series is fabulous. It's meant for dealing with kids and trying to give them responsibility.
I actually I had a bad attitude about Love and Logic because I heard about it from a bunch of people I thought were kind of intellectual lightweights. So I had a bad taste in my mouth about it. And then I actually went to one and I thought, oh, well, it's just that these people were not doing it justice. So if you have that same attitude, you may want to give it a shot.
Yeah, the Love and Logic stuff's really good. It was actually Rudolf Dreikurs who came up with all this stuff, and then there were a couple of guys here in the States who took it and rebranded it. And they did a nice job because they give you things to say. When Junior says this, you say this. And so you don't have to figure stuff out, they just tell you to do this. And it's very well done.
Okay. Well, there's more to come, but we're going to finish up for now. So Gary, thanks again. We appreciate that.
Thank you.